Methinks we are live.
We are live everywhere.
We're live everywhere.
This is like Harry and Meghan's wedding. There'll be billions tuning in for this, I think.
They're in Times Square, looking up at the big screens.
They are cheering. Woo, 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 go, Eric. Go. Oh, look. It's my lovely friend Beth, who I know now, of course, having met her last weekend.
And we have a lovely thing in common. We're the same height, Beth and I.
You are indeed.
We're the same height.
Identical twins, almost.
Identical twins. This, we've had a couple of weeks off.
We have had a couple of weeks
off.
Why have we had a couple of weeks off, Eric? Would you like to tell everybody?
I was busy on Saturday. I was busy, and can we have a link for the Aberdeen?
Indeed.
It's coming in 3 weeks' time. The link will be out. So yeah, I did a TED talk at the weekend, and you should know because you were in the room in Aberdeen. You were there with Tim and Beth and Ross and and David and all these lovely people that we know that watch this show. It was a true joy. So, but that's done. It's yesterday's fish and chip wrappers. Now it's over.
Hardly.
Yeah.
Our children's children will be talking about that talk.
Exactly. What on earth's he on about? What's he on about?
No, quite the reverse. It'll be like people of the previous generation. So where were you when JFK got shot? And for us, it's where were you when 9/11 happened? And for our children, it will be where were you when Eric spoke in Aberdeen?
It's that profound.
It is that. It was a beautiful thing, Eric. It was a beautiful thing.
Thank you very much.
Anyone who hasn't, who wasn't there, must watch it because it was beautiful.
Incredible. Was it a Tim talk? Yeah, it was a Tim talk. Yeah.
Yeah, same sort of thing, really.
So, welcome to that album. If you've not been with us before, this is our 49th show.
Yeah.
You must have something special up your sleeve for the end of the show when you announce what album we're doing next week.
Well, there's two. What do you think it should be a special one?
No, it's just a normal show. It's a normal show. On our 100th show, we'll do a big one, right?
Okay, yeah.
We'll do a big one.
Yeah.
But the last time we met, as is our wont, one of us sets a challenge, alternate weeks. One of us recommends an album. I think the last time we were together, we did What's the Story Morning Glory, and we had a special guest.
We did. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Liam Gallagher live on the show. And in the 2-week break that we had, I suggested that we do the Heaven or Las Vegas by the Cocteau Twins. Scottish rock band that were active between 79 and 97. The reason I suggested that we do this one is that this band were a very special band for me. This band were like an epiphany that things could be different. They actually provided me more than music, this band. I don't think this is their finest work. For me, it's head over heels, but I think this is their most beautiful work. So what we do is we send the other party off and our lovely guests that come and join us to dive into that, and we both research and investigate and do a proper sort of forensic analysis, get inside the music, and then we come back and do a little review, and that's what this show is, right? So the big question is, was this a sugar hiccup? Or a wax and wane?
Well, it was great. I really enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah. It's a good album. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Hugely talented. Great songs. Is it an epiphany? No. It's and you have offered up some of those where I've listened to them and gone, oh my God, Eric, how come we've known each other for this long and you've never said, go away and listen to this?
Right.
And this was not one of those albums. What I was painfully aware of was that the 80s had a pomposity to it. You know, I kept thinking when I was listening to this, I kept thinking of that thing that you sent me of Angie Bowie and Mick Karn doing the poetry.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a bit of that, you know, these people are taking themselves a little bit too seriously, I think.
Well, they're very serious people. They are very serious people. They are. If you ever listen to Elizabeth Fraser or Robin Guthrie, they're very insular people. These were the kind of outliers at school. Cocteau Twins came together. Really, I mean, quite incredible because they produced some lovely stuff. Me too, Yayan. I think so. I've been listening to it pretty much end to end for 2 weeks, and in fact, I was using it to chill out before I went on to do my recent TED talk. Um, so
TED Talk, did you say? You've
TED
done a
talk,
TED
yeah.
Talk,
No,
have you?
oh, sorry, a Tim talk. A Tim talk. Um, Robin Guthrie and Will Heggie originally were sort of faffing around in little studios and in bedrooms around Grangemouth. Went to a club one night in 1980. Walked in, saw Liz Fraser dancing with her pals. Thought she looks interesting because she was very new romantic, kind of punky goth. She was in Grangemouth, which is a very industrial little. The biggest thing going down in Grangemouth is BP refinery. Very industrial, super sort of like grainy little town. And they're in this club, and then there's this little new romantic vision dancing about. They said to her, "Can you sing?" And she said, "Kinda." And they said, "Do you want to sing in our band, Cocteau Twins?" And she's like, "Yeah, why not?" She was due, sliding doors. She was due to start work in the same textile factory that her mother worked in on the factory line, on the factory floor, zipping up tarpaulins and things like that. And this wouldn't have happened. This career and this mark that was put down, this legacy that was left for music would not have happened if they hadn't gone to that club, if she'd taken the job. It's just amazing amount of sliding doors. They signed with 4AD in 1982. They released their debut album Garlands later that year. Funny story about Garlands. A girl called Alison at my school, who I was really intrigued by when I was like, this was 1983 by the time I was in this. I was just, 12, 13 years old. And I was fascinated by Alison. A very mysterious, gothic, Liz Fraser, short hair with the spikes on top, dyed blonde, the makeup, the tucker boots, the high shoulders. And I was mystified by Alison. And one day she came up to me.
Mystified in a kind of in excess sort of.
Mystify me. She was a kind of outlier at school. She had a little clique that she hung about with. They were all kind of gothic, new romantic, when new romanticism was just coming through. And one day I went up to her and I started chatting to her. Now, she was older than me and she should have told me to bugger off, which probably would have happened with every other girl in school. But she said, I've got something for you to listen to. And it was a homemade tape, but it had Cocteau's Garlands written on it. And I took it home, put it into my Binatone cassette deck with all the springs when you nearly took your fingers off when you nearly sucked your fingers off, right? And it only had fast forward. It didn't have rewind, right? So I had to.
It had play as well, I assume.
I had play, yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I played Garlands, and it was like someone had injected me. There's a track on there called Wax and Wane, which I've gone back and done the whole back catalogue this week. Wax on Wane, which made me go, oh, what is this? Then Head Over Heels came out the following year, and I got a copy of Head Over Heels. It became one of my favourite albums of all time. Still is. I think it's a better album than this, but I think this is more beautiful that we're about to do. After nearly 20 years together, they produced, I think it was nine albums. Garlands, Head Over Heels, Treasure, Victorialand, Bluebell Knoll, Heaven or Las Vegas in 1990, Fort Calendar Cafe.
Are you a fan then, being able to just reel these off from memory like that?
Yeah. And then they finished in 1996 with Milk and Kisses. There was drama in the band. Liz had got emotionally enwrangled with Robin Guthrie. They had a child together. Robin became an addict, and it was pretty horrible for all the band. And they've said it was just too traumatic. She even says throughout this album, she says, "I only want to love you. I only want to love you." Basically saying to him, "I just want to love you the way you were. It's hard to love you right now. It's hard." So, in amongst the fact that for newcomers to Cocteau Twins, most people are like, "What is she saying? What is she saying?" She doesn't use entirely exclusively English. She uses bits of mouth music. She makes sounds. She makes words up. She said before that she's used foreign words, but mispronounces them to fit with the song because they sound nice. So lots and lots and lots of this. It was funny because I was looking up the lyrics companies that do lyrics have all had a go. They've all had a go.
Yeah,
it's just absolute nonsense. Lots of question marks because she doesn't exclusively sing in English. It took me a few years to get used to that and stop trying to work out what she was saying and actually just listen, because it's like, listen to, you what?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That, in fact, that was their second single. That was their second single. So, Heaven or Las Vegas is the sixth studio album from the Cocteaus, released
When
on
did it come out?
17th September 1990.
1990.
Yeah.
Do you know what was going on in 1990?
What was going on in 1990,
I'm
Adam?
glad you asked, actually.
Thank you.
The IRA blew up the stock exchange.
Holy moly.
There were 50,000 people demonstrating in London on behalf of ambulance drivers.
Ooh.
Ooh. There's a certain history repeating itself here, isn't there?
Exactly.
England rebel cricketers went to play in South Africa.
Right.
There was a 5.2 Richter scale earthquake in Shropshire.
Holy moly.
The Hubble Space Telescope was launched. Germany was reunified. The World Cup was played in Italy rather than Qatar, thankfully. J.K. Rowling had the idea of Harry Potter.
No way. 1990, as early as that?
1990, yeah, apparently so, on a train from London to Manchester, I believe. Iraq invaded Kuwait, and as a result of that, Massive Attack changed their name to Massive. They subsequently changed it back to Massive Attack.
Yeah.
Channel tunnel workers met 40 meters below the sea level.
Oh, of course, shake hands through the wall.
Yeah. And last, and probably the most important thing that's ever happened to us, was Tim Berners-Lee sat down and thought, maybe we can connect some of these computers together. And they did. And
I think we'll call it the Interconnectivity Web Portal.
Indeed.
Yes, indeed, Jess. Yes, indeed. Absolutely. I'm sure you've got a bit of Cocteau Twins history in you. So while all that was going on, these little mysterious people from Grangemouth had moved to London and were now carving themselves as true independents and truly unique in music. Yes, of course, you'll hear influences from some of the sort of 80s and late 70s sounds that are going on at the time. But I think if you're having an open debate with adults about the truly unique and independent alternative bands from the United Kingdom of that era, you would absolutely hear people and expect to hear people talk about Joy Division. Mm-hmm. You would absolutely, and you wouldn't cast out someone maybe bringing the Smiths or Joy or who else? The Smiths.
Well, I have a couple that I will flag later as being very similar to the progressions of some of these things that.
Oh, come on. But absolutely on this table with Joy Division, The Fall, The Smiths, and all of that, these influential, unique bands that were carving their own path and doing their own thing. This band belonged there. I would offer that. I would bring these guys to the table. Received brilliant critical acclaim. Heaven Las Vegas is their finest hour yet, said Martin Aston at Q. 10 exquisite moments that make Kate Bush their only possible comparison sound as airborne as Motorhead. It won loads of awards. It was named 28th best album of 1990 by NME. The Observer listed the album as the 97th greatest British album ever made. In 27, NPR listed Heaven or Las Vegas as 138th of the 150 great albums made by women. And Pitchfork ranked it at first on the list of their 30 best dream pop albums. It just goes on and on. It's Liz Fraser herself, the wee lassie from Grangemouth who nearly went to work in the textile factory, has influenced hundreds of female and male singers. Sia said in an interview, if it wasn't for Liz Fraser, I wouldn't have sung. You get amazing singing artists. I mean, you go onto YouTube and there's very accomplished people playing Cocteau Twins songs, and you think, wow, that's amazing. Just a little band from Grangemouth had that effect. So that's it. That's
in my notes. I said something sarcastic.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly, I said yet another Scottish band. We've just got Blue Nile and Proclaimers to go, and we've covered them all now. Which obviously I'm teasing, but I also said I found this very soothing, like coming home.
Yeah.
At the point that this was out, I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
So I was kind of musically aware, and I was listening. And this was it was not a ubiquitous album. It's not absolutely everywhere, but it got quite a lot of airtime, and it's so. I mean, obviously, it was recorded during the 80s.
Yep.
It's so 80s in its sounds, and that was a very good time in my life.
Yeah.
So I listen to it and I go,
Yeah.
I can relax into this.
I can relax into this, and that
that's
dream
one of the
pop thing
things,
is
isn't
very relaxing.
Yeah, it is, but it's also the effect that it has on me is, I know that I'm in a safe space. It was before I was a proper grown up, so I wasn't looking after myself, and this reminds me of being young and carefree, and
Yeah.
nice, very nice indeed.
Cool. It's quite short, 38 minutes, and it starts with Cherry Coloured Funk.
Well, it actually starts with Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, is what we could say.
Ah, yeah. Dun, 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 dun,
Da-da-da-da, and you could sing that along with it if you chose to.
That's a loose link, but we'll go with it. We'll give him that. Cherry Coloured Funk. All right, John. We're playing this on our show. This is amazing, an amazing moment for me. Two of our heroes were Edith Piaf and Nina Simone. That's who she counted as her sort of like, if I could be anything like them, that would be amazing. Quite upsetting and brilliant at the same time that when I put this on, I mean, this is on in our house all the time. Sarah and I danced to Heaven or Las Vegas when we got married in Las Vegas. It made me really upset. It's 32 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
32 years ago. And I think of this as, it's in my little toolbox of music.
Yeah. So just a couple of years ago, I was listening to
this. Where has time gone? Where has it gone? So that's Cherry Coloured Funk. They like nice sort of like the dream pop thing that they kind of pioneered. They kind of explore that in their song titles as well. So you think there's a wee bit of Sgt. Pepper in here?
In the opening, yeah.
In the opening, yeah.
Exactly the same as the Sgt. Pepper opening sequence.
Yeah. It's quite painful actually to say 32 years because, it's still not really sitting in. It's still quite barbed.
You're old.
I'm very old. Very old.
Yeah.
No, you can hear Liz Fraser and Shirley Manson's voice. So that is Cherry Coloured Funk.
She has got a beautiful, clear, tuneful, gorgeous voice, hasn't she?
Absolutely.
It is like being spread with treacle.
It is, absolutely. And in the early albums, Garland's more like
just like my mate Liam.
just like my mate Liam, absolutely. Hi Kevin, good to see you, man. Yeah, and in the early albums, it was more stark, and they were definitely more trying to be more sort of like on the gothic side of dream pop. It's a drum machine, it's heavy bass, it's the spangly guitars, and she stays in her deep register. It was only when she got into the later albums, or the second or third album, that she started going up, and everybody's like, right, so you're a soprano. She's like, I'm a what, sorry? Soprano. I love the next track, Pitch the Baby. Shimmers into view with Guthrie's tremolo, and a beat that's slightly more hip hop to it, which is very unusual for them.
And it shimmers into the fact that this is about her baby,
Lucy Bell. Absolutely, absolutely. So this is a topper for me. So super stylish, so super slick. I love this. Change, which is very normal for them. Who are you, LinkedIn user? Just drop us a little note of your name and I'll send you a link so you can fix that from now on. It might be John Bloomfield, actually. I'm not sure. What's that?
Could be Helen.
Could be Helen. Jess, when you were doing your singing, as you no doubt still do, were you a bit of a Liz Fraser fan? Was it this kind of thing that was playing around the car cassette tape or CD deck at the time?
So I've got an interesting thing here that I gleaned from the internet, which says the song, as with most of Heaven or Las Vegas, marked a departure in Fraser's approach to writing lyrics. Previously, she'd used nonsense words and words from languages she couldn't speak or understand. With Pitch the Baby, she began to sing about more concrete subjects.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think you're right. They're not gothic. They're not new romantic. They try and put them in a box called dream pop, which I think is quite odd, or shoegaze. Like they were the first ever shoegaze band, which I don't think either. I think they've got their own little box. If we have to put things in boxes, they're quite unique in the way that they approach their music. So that is Ice. That was Pitch the Baby. What are you going to say?
I was going to say. So how important do you think this band is? Because they obviously they had a significant effect on you, but they avoided mainstream fame, didn't
They
they?
did. They did. They
And
definitely lurked around the alternative world, but they influenced lots of mainstream people. Massive Attack were on bended knee, and as soon as they could get Liz Fraser into a studio, they asked her to come and do the now worldly famous with the amazing video for Teardrop. No,
that was,
that's
of
her.
course, yes, of course.
That's her. So, and they were like, they said the day that Liz Fraser walked into the studio and we sorted out all the contracts and all that, they didn't know where to look because they put her on like such a pedestal because she was they saw her as a pioneer, which they wanted to be. They wanted to be pioneers. She wasn't affected by trends or fashions in her own vocal style, and they wanted to be completely sort of like devoid of all of that and just do their own thing. So yeah, I think Jeff Buckley in America, who we did Grace.
Mm.
Jeff Buckley adored Cocteau Twins. They were very much the alternative musos. They were like the musicians band that musos were into.
Yeah.
And people who thought they were a bit kind of like, oh yeah, I'm into Cocteau Twins. It's very cool. It's very cool to say you're into Cocteau Twins, right? Very cool. But that bird from Grangemouth that nobody can understand. What are you talking about? Jeff Buckley and Liz Fraser got together and had a romantic relationship.
Did they really?
Yeah, they did. And they wrote music together, which he recorded. And then they broke up. They had a bit of a fight because I don't think he nor she were particularly easy to be around. And they were just like oil and water. And she heard a couple of months later that he had passed away.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, she liked him. He liked her. She's listening to Grace. He's listening to Bluebell Knoll and all of this and going, one day I'm going to get to meet her. And they ended up going out with each other.
Nice.
Quite amazing. Quite amazing.
Yeah,
So
incredible.
this is track 3. What did you have down for Ice Blink Luck?
Yeah, so an uncharacteristically upbeat Cocteau Twins song is what it says here. Ice Blink Luck finds lead singer Liz Fraser in a joyful mood. The lyrics are characteristically muddled. Is a walnut safe or a wall not safe? Is it a walnut safe or a wall not safe?
Yep.
It's one of the things that's posed. Interestingly, though, there are not a huge number of I've cut and pasted the lyrics into a document. There's not a huge number of red underlines. So clearly, they've the person that has annotated them has kind of done a various leaps of faith.
Leaps of faith.
That kind of sounds
that
like
yeah, absolutely. It's a tender song, a last-ditch dream, as she tries to honour Elder Raymond's past and resolve her soon-to-dissolve future. She thanks them both. You're really both bone setters. Thank you for mending me babies. She sings to the man and the ghost and the babe in her arms. This is Ice Blink Luck.
So this is very ABBA. This next
Very ABBA.
in terms of how there are two female voices and they're playing together is very
ABBA-esque, yeah, without a doubt.
That's not a bad thing, of course.
That's an excellent spot by whoever LinkedIn user is. Can you put up the question about This Mortal Coil? So you're absolutely right. John Fryer and Ivo Watts Russell, the guys that led 4AD record label, thought, why don't we make hardly any of our bands are super well known, but why don't we make a supergroup out of some of our signings? So they took the bands together. They were the only two official members of this Mortal Coil, Fryer and Watts Russell. But they took Cocteau Twins, Pixies, Dead Can Dance, Diamandra Galas, and all their bands and said, why don't you go with them, you go with them, you go with them. So I've got all of this Mortal Coil's output on vinyl back there, and you will see the drummer from Dead Can Dance, the guitarist from Pixies, Diamandra Galas, and on some tracks, and then Liz Fraser on others, Robin Guthrie with other bands.
So what's your favourite Dead Can Dance album?
So I'm not huge. I know that you're way more into Dead Can Dance than I was.
Love them.
You actually kind of. I knew who they were. I knew they were, but I was so focused on Cocteaus from
right,
and Pixies that I thought I don't need. I'm going to melt here. So you actually sent me something of theirs once, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to like this, but I have yet to pick it up.
Right. Okay. Maybe we should cover one of their albums at some point.
We definitely should. We definitely should.
So much in your own ways. You're really both sentence. Thank you for mending me, baby.
Ice Blink Luck.
Fans of the Cocteau Twins have been singing about the magic of cherry cola for years. Interestingly, writing in Q magazine, Martin Aston said it proves how easily the Cocteaus have drifted closer to the mainstream without compromising an iota of what makes them so special. This particular track.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow. I love it.
Really good. One of the high points of this album.
Ice Blink Luck for you, a high point. Very good, very good. One of them. We move on to track number 4, which is 50/50 Clown. Synth parts were originally written by on guitar by Raymond and Guthrie, and really interesting bit about this song, which you may have picked up in your just to show the reach of this little band from Grangemouth. Now remember, this was people who left school when they were 16. They didn't go to music college, they didn't go to art college, they were in an industrial town. That's what I love about this, that beauty can come from like struggle.
It is really interesting, isn't it? Because when you look at people that come from this kind of background, their music is much more, their art, because it's more than just music, is much more abstract and unstructured and driven by feelings. So if you think about a lot of the bands that we've reviewed, and you look at the lyrics, and they talk about great works of literature and great authors get mentioned in passing in it, as if it's a common narrative that everybody would have. And it always surprises me, because you don't normally necessarily associate people that are in the pop and rock world with being people that would have had an education or a great understanding of classics. Perhaps that's just me, but you know, talking about he's reading Balzac and knocking back Prozac from Blur or whatever. You know, it's like, okay, well, that because he went to Eton, he would know that sort of thing. And here, you know, there's none of that foundation in classical art, but so much of what they're doing is incredibly artistic and
you're good,
fancy, isn't it?
You're very good. You're very good. So they produced this music, the little band from Grangemouth, and a certain chap was remixing an album that he'd made with an artist called Martika in 1991. Do you remember Martika?
I don't.
And she had a single called Thy Will Be Done. Do you remember that?
Ah, yeah.
Produced by Prince.
Ah.
Who heard this track, 50/50 Clown, contacted 4AD and said, do you think the band would be okay with me sampling the synth track from this album? So Prince is listening to Heaven or Las Vegas. You know what I mean? So did they have a reach? Yes. Were they mainstream popular? No. But if Prince is listening to it, that's like, my work here is done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't get much better than that, does it?
Not only is he listening to it, he wants to use a part of it in his Martika produced album. So this is 50/50 Clown. dum dum. Flash.
Ah!
Hi guys, just a question for you. We've had a note from Paisley Park. Prince wants to use the synth track of 50/50 Clown.
Tell him to sod off. Said nobody ever.
I'm sorry, who? Prince? What actual Prince? Yeah, he's asked for it himself because he wants to put it in Martika's single. You'd be gutted though, eh? Prince wants to use it. He wants to put it in Martika's album. Ah, for God's sake. Shut up. So that was 50/50 Clown. We're now on to track 5, which is
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
You like this one?
Very much so.
Sparkling arpeggios, appropriately heavenly, soaring, overdriven slide part, which we all love. I've got a note down here that he goes to a D, G, and I'm not a guitar player. What is C, capital C, A, D, right, okay. C add 9. What would that mean in a chord?
C with an added ninth.
An added ninth.
Which is another second, isn't it?
As Guthrie ventures high up the neck. This has been covered by lots of people. I was kind of disappointed, but actually I'm over it because she's not Hannah Montana anymore. She's a brilliant artist in her own right. Miley Cyrus did this at a recent concert.
And she is phenomenal.
She's a phenomenal artist.
At the concert that she did, the Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, obviously the one that was put on after the bombing.
Yes.
It demonstrated the difference between Miley Cyrus and Ariana Grande in terms of their abilities, didn't it?
I think Grande has got potentially a more range in her voice, and she's maybe more technical, but in terms of the sound and the showmanship or showwomanship, Miley Cyrus is going to be a megastar if she's not a megastar already.
Breathtakingly good. I love there was an acoustic cover that she did of Jolene that you might have seen. It's a YouTube.
I've seen it. It's fabulous.
It's incredible, isn't it? Not many people that you would say, actually, I could quite happily listen to that instead of Dolly's version.
It's stunning.
Absolutely brilliant, isn't it?
And there's a thing just to show how comfortable she is on the stage. She walks out onto the stage in one performance, and her top kind of like the clasp goes, and it's quite a revealing top anyway. But she gets to a certain point in the song, nods to the band, just tell them to just keep going. She runs on, puts on a suit jacket and comes out and picks up like nothing happened. Like nothing happened. Very, very, very slick. But I guess that's years in show business, right? So this is the amazing, very important song for the Doilies, this one. Heaven or Las Vegas. Gorgeous.
You going to have a little dance?
I'm going.
I must say that on this particular song, what I have got in the lyrics that I cut and pasted out, there's no resemblance whatsoever to what she's singing.
And you
None
find
of
that,
it.
you think, oh, they might have got it, and then you listen to it, and it's no, they're off, they're way off, yeah.
Yeah.
Gather Fonu.
Obviously.
Fonu. Just a little bit more. Ah,
Nice.
Love it.
Nice. Love the melody and the way that the harmonies come together in that. Absolutely inspired.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. I just went into your page because I think Ian's come in on your page. LinkedIn user is Ian Cowan. Ian Cowan. If you send me a note after this, I'll send you a link to fix that so you appear properly on this list here. But you're absolutely right. You can hear our Scottish twang a bit. Las Vegas.
Hey,
I'm like that.
hey,
Why get married? No. So that is the phenomenal. The next track number 6, is called appropriately "I Wear Your Ring." For me, the start of this is like just coming into sunset. Don Johnson in the boat with the white suit and the pink T-shirt, the long hair. Start of Miami Vice.
Yeah, which is a normal kind of Saturday morning for you or I, isn't it?
It really
on a
is.
cigarette boat just chugging into the harbour.
Chucking into the harbour, yeah, absolutely. And then I get lots of yeah, I think so, absolutely. Lots and lots and lots that were influenced by them, and that were probably being influenced by them too. I think she sounds a bit like Karen Carpenter in this one. I don't know what you think. Here we go. This is "I Wear Your Ring."
That's not a plus for me. I'm not.
Is it not a plus?
Oh, can't bear
Well,
it.
I put Karen up on a bit of a. I like Karen. Calling occupants. Don Johnson, slow motion. You're on your last warning, Crockett.
No, at that particular time, I had one of those white suits, and I had a wardrobe full of pastel T-shirts.
Yep.
And espadrilles in different
Espadrilles,
colours.
no socks.
And typically, I had a white jacket and black trousers. You know, the very narrow cuffs, but
Yeah.
high waisted.
Nice.
And then I also had an electric blue jacket that's the same as the white one, but electric blue with white trousers. And I would mix and match my espadrilles and T-shirts to match. And I mean, frankly, I looked like a complete dork. But that's not the point. I thought I was really cool.
You at the time you were on fleek, as the kids say, and you looked just the part. People were like, "Is it Don Johnson? Is it a young John Hurt?"
Yeah, they thought all of those things, and then they thought, no, it isn't.
It's just Andy Gray.
Between the sunrise and sunset, you don't know panicky and all the rainy day. Racing around on the turf. You could be raising money with your mother. You might be showing your round the dress up with cake. Taking toast to that and I don't know. This kind of leaves me fine. Maybe so you
one night in Glasgow where I realised that about half an hour, 40 minutes to walk at about 2 a.m. on a Saturday night. And about Saturday night, and I thought I couldn't get a taxi. I was on my own. I got split up from my friends, and I had to walk from pretty much from the sort of Trongate area of Glasgow to the other end of Sauchiehall Street, where all the big gig centres are now. And I thought, this is a particularly dodgy walk. And I had my personal stereo with me, and I put this album on and walked with it on loud. And it was really funny because as I was walking on the other side of the road from massive fights and police things, cars and all, with this ringing in my ears. Drunks coming up, and I couldn't hear them because my music was so loud, to ask for money and stuff like that. Walking between groups of people that were fighting, and just with this like... So that's track number 6. The next one, what have you got down for Fotzepolitik?
Right. So I did really like this, but this is just indulge me for a second, if you would.
Oh.
Right. So we'll come back to that in due course. This is very, very redolent of 2,000 Miles by the Pretenders.
Right. Okay.
The Pretenders, who obviously the lead singer of the Pretenders is
Chrissie Hynde,
who was married to
Jim Kerr.
Do you know Jim Kerr?
I do.
Marvelous. So you see how I got that in there.
I don't know if you know this, but I've actually performed Simple Minds live.
Tell us more.
Well, you were there. You were in the room. I sung a little bit of Simple Minds.
You did. Of course you did.
Yeah. But we'll leave that.
Yes.
Say nothing. Say nothing. Say nothing. Breathe.
Say nothing. Unfortunately, Jim was not in the... I did invite him.
Yeah, exactly. He said he would be there. I think he was in disguise. This is Fotzepolitik. The vocals.
My dreams are loaded, sick and must be dressed. The young girl's dreams.
We're actually saying now that Jim knows me.
Through some doom and shoot like the baby with stars. But all this is true.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Like the scary hairs on our singing hoof. Like the scary hairs on our singing hoof. Big hoof. Every fool that you are spoon inside me. That won't set my face.
I could listen to that on repeat for the rest of my life. I love this track. Either very Celtic or very Celtic. I think we'll have to go with Celtic. So that's Fotzepolitik. The next track, track 8, is Wolf in the Breast. What have you got for that?
It was just somebody, so somebody made a comment about this earlier. You could actually just shut your eyes and just let the music wash over you. You know, so 80s. It was all about just the sound and the texture for me. This track,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a relaxing, easy wind into this one. They get you with a lovely hook, though.
Asking
Good point. Enya and the Sundays. It's a shame when we do these albums, we try and do them in an hour, and we've done albums with 20 tracks and albums with 8 tracks, but we never do them justice. As
No,
someone said
I
one time,
was
just
thinking
play
exactly
off my
that,
head.
actually.
Yeah. The next track is probably a wee bit more, for those who know the band, Bluebell Knoll, the album before this, was a bit more, I don't know, a bit more, dark's not the word. This one's quite light and beautiful, I think. The Bluebell Knoll was a bit more, don't know, can't explain it, but this track for me was more like Bluebell Knoll. And this track, Road, River and Rail, track number 9, is going to be in my forthcoming Scandi Noir-inspired Scottish crime series.
And will the lead be played by John Candy? Oh no, it was Trains, Planes and Automobiles, wasn't it? Not by John Rail. Sorry, did continue though, please.
Haunting. That's the word I was looking for.
Quite Joni Mitchell in the voice.
Yeah. Right there with you, Adam. You can stay. You can definitely stay. And I'm sorry we're at the end of it, so please listen back because this has been a joy.
This is, for me, you said about your crime series, this is pine forests and ferns, and somebody is kind of walking through there trying to work out how the crime had been committed.
Totally. If you're familiar with the Scottish crime show Shetland, which is a pure Scandi Noir, it's hilarious. Yeah. It's that ridiculous. It's got the drones. It's got the quiet cops just looking at each other going, out in the moors.
Like a cheery Wallander.
A cheery Wallander. Wallander with more whiskey. I did have, but I lost it, and I'm reduced to mere CD these days. I do have the original Bluebell Knoll on Gatefold just back behind me. So that is Road, River and Rail, which I think, for those, Adam clearly knows the band, I think was more of a sort of Bluebell Knoll track, and okay, it fitted with this, but I think it was more haunting and belonged on there, but the rest of this album's all kind of like sparkly and beautiful. And then it closes with Frou Frou Foxes and Midsummer Fires, written by Raymond, who turned up at the studio the day after his dad's funeral, sat at the piano overlooking the Thames in solitude. By the time Guthrie had arrived, the song in D minor was already done. It just needed Liz to come in and do what she did. So this is, Guthrie adds the shoegaze guitar, and then Fraser's ruminations on the cycle of life come in and make this a beautiful ending to a beautiful thing.
Said Raymond, you go from Pitch the Baby, which is a joyous song about Elizabeth giving birth and having a kid and how amazing it is, over to Frou Frou Foxes in Midsummer Fires, which is my song and is quite miserable, really, but Elizabeth makes it beautiful with the lyrics.
Of course she does. Absolutely. So this is the last track on the album, Frou Frou Foxes in Midsummer Fires. lovely moment at 1:42, which is coming up, where there's just a snare hits, and then the song completely flips and does a 180.
Lost into salvos of Frederick's ignitions, big dead infant's breath, my milk had wrapped to bury in day. Fanatical and soon
Loving Son's Daughter, the new project that she's doing with her husband, who's formerly of Massive Attack. She's brought out her first music in 12 years. Son's Daughter, I can highly recommend going listening to it. It is phenomenal. This has been a little joy for me to do. This band will always be on my top shelf, and this album will always be in my top shelf. I think it transcends any genre or boxing that people might want to fit it into. It's a standalone piece of beautiful music, and
As in
boxing. The Cocteau Twins showed me it was more than music. They'll never know this. Liz Fraser will never know this. Guthrie and Raymond will never know this. But they offered me a little escape at a point in my life when I needed it, and they showed me that you can carve your own path, you can do your own thing, and some people will join up with you, and they'll like it. And this has been a joy. So thank you for the opportunity, and thanks for the patience of sitting through something that might not be a slam dunk. But you've
the more I listened to it, the more I enjoyed it, and it was good. And at no point did I feel anything other than happiness that I was listening to it.
Beautiful.
So,
yeah,
it was great, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you.
Oh, brilliant! So the big question is, we come back next week. It'll be our 50th that album. We're not going to make a big song and dance about that.
It will. If I had the album planned out for if we were going to make a huge song and dance about it.
Oh, you go for it. This is huge.
No. So this is a more mainstream album, produced just a year after this.
91.
Although from New Zealand, adopted as a Scottish band. Adopted as an Australian band.
Right.
And this was really their breakthrough album, I guess, that was much more mainstream. And it's just full of really good toe tapping songs. It's not highbrow.
Right. Doesn't have to be. Hey, we've done Wet Leg on here, haven't we?
Yeah, but it is an absolute tour de force of the leader of the band's phenomenal, breathtaking talent. Close, but they're Australian.
Hold on. They're Australian. Australian?
No, they're New Zealand, but
Right.
they've been adopted by Australia. So Australians always say they're an Australian band, which they're not.
And you're saying like phenomenal level?
The leader of the band is one of the most talented singer-songwriter performers there has ever been.
Oh, a Crowded House.
Crowded House, indeed.
Yeah, that's
The album is Woodface,
of course.
which is I think it's one of those albums that's not got a bad song on it. So go away, listen to Woodface, come back with your best criticisms.
Oh no! I don't think it's going to be. So full disclosure, and this is the opening initial response is I've always looked upon them as so. I'll go away and educate myself. I'll go away and learn. I'll dive in deep. I've always looked upon it as being a bit kind of like elevator dad music, right? So that's what I go into this thinking.
We're dads, and we take the elevator rather than the stairs.
I do take the elevator rather than the stairs, and I'm a dad. So, and I passed this band by because I was too busy being a ponce, going, oh no, I like the Cocteau Twins in Japan and David Sylvian. Actually, how did you? Crowded what? So I've got some learning to do. There we go. If Barry Young says,
I hope it's not a disappointment to you. I'm sure it won't be.
I'm sure it won't be. Absolutely. Thank you for today. Thanks for the opportunity.
Well, thank you, and thank you everybody for joining, and we'll see you next week.